In our previous video, we walked around the beautiful city of Xiamen and its main tourist attractions. However, we are still missing the jewel in the crown, the island opposite to Xiamen Island, Gulangyu, also called Piano Island, due to the popularity of piano on the island. So in this video, we are going to show you around the island, its attractions, delicious food, history, beaches, and the museums. Welcome back to the channel Global. So I'm now at the cruise center and waiting for my cruise to Gulangyu. We are now heading to Gulangyu, the most famous tourist attraction of Xiamen that deserves this dedicated video. Looking out of the ferry, it is quite a small island with an area of 1.88 square kilometers. But on this small island, there is just so much to see. Even though Gulangyu is very close to Xiamen, it does not have any connection through land nor through bridges. That is because it is a UNESCO World Heritage, so that to preserve it, the only option to come here is by ferry. And because of that, cars are also not allowed in Gulangyu. It stands as a maritime Zheng Garden, beautifully untouched and devoid of the modern world's imprints. Walking on the streets of Gulangyu, one thing that you will not miss is the different architecture. It's a blend between the West and Chinese architecture. Due to historical reasons, Gulangyu enjoys a fame for its buildings of different architecture styles. Old or new, they are displayed among trees and flowers in a silence, telling different stories in their own ways. Now, this island is truly unique because of its blend between the East and West in terms of culture, history, and as well as architecture. This is the former Benevolence Hospital, Xiamen branch. The hospital was founded jointly by Japanese and Chinese merchants in 1935. Designed by Japanese architects, it shows an early modern style, which was popular in Japan at that time. Among different styles, churches are usually special and outstanding in architecture. So are the Trinity Church and Revival Church. Completed in 1945 and witnessed the religious life in Gulangyu, Trinity Church is still fully functioning today. Revival Church used to be a gathering place for Christians in Xiamen, with a history of nearly 100 years. Walking in the streets of Gulangyu, you just can't switch off your camera. I mean, every time I switch off my camera, I realize that I walk into somewhere that I wanted to record. And that's just how much that you can see here. Every corner, there is a museum, there is a villa that is super nice, or you visit some place with historical importance, or somewhere that is belonging to the richest person in Taiwan. You might encounter people taking photos at any place on the island. Just be prepared with some of your favorite postures. At the gate of a modern coffee shop, or at the corner of a historical building, or even along the wall of a hospital. There are countless nice views with beautiful flowers and plants, forming great memories in your cameras. In fact, while randomly walking on the streets, you might encounter some museums that will tell you more about this island, these buildings, and the people that used to live on this island. I am now at the Gulangyu History and Culture exhibition, and here we are going to explore the history over 100 years. Gulangyu History and Culture exhibition is at the former site of the Consulate General of the United Kingdom. The exhibition is comprised of 5 sections, presenting the island's history and culture, as well as efforts that have been made to protect it as a World Cultural Heritage. Tracing back to the history of Gulangyu, since 960 AD in Song Dynasty, fishermen entered the island and settled here. In the 16th century and 17th century, Western countries started to realize this island during the Great Navigation Era. From the navigation maps of that period, one can glimpse a little. Talking about Gulangyu, there is one person that we have to talk about. Now behind me is the sculpture of Zheng Chenggong. So now let's go back into history and explain who he actually is. Zheng Chenggong was born in 1624 in Japan, and then moved to Fujian province of Ming Dynasty, China. In 1638, Zheng became a Xiucai in the imperial examination, and in 1644, he studied at the Imperial University. At that time, Zheng's group was so strong that they took Xiamen and Gulangyu as its bases and controlled the Far East maritime trade. After the end of the Ming Dynasty, in 1646, the Qing dynasty invaded Fujian and persuaded his father, Zheng Zhilong, to surrender. Zheng Chenggong angrily broke up with his father and devoted himself to anti-Qing battles. In 1661, Zheng Chenggong also defeated the Dutch outposts in Taiwan and was a strong competitor of the Dutch East India Company in this area. Interestingly enough, Zheng Chenggong is described as a hero and an important figure in the history by mainland China, Taiwan, and Japan for slightly different reasons, which is unbelievable considering the geopolitics today. At the beginning of the 19th century, traditional villages were built on the island. Then, after the Treaty of Nanking, signed in 1842, Xiamen, including Gulangyu, became one of the first ports that was forced to open to the world. Foreign consuls, missionaries, and merchants all came to Gulangyu to build consulates, residence, companies, hospitals, and churches. In addition, the advantages of Gulangyu's living environment have attracted rich businessmen from southern Fujian to settle down in Gulangyu, making it the first choice for many overseas Chinese to move in when returning home. The island gradually became an international community. In the beginning of the 20th century, the Qing government signed the land regulations for the settlement of Gulangyu with the UK and the US. In the following year, Gulangyu Municipal Council and Gulangyu Mixed Court was founded with both foreign members and Chinese members. Hence, a large amount of money was invested in community construction. Banks were built and companies established. The infrastructure such as docks, roads, telephones, lights, and tap water system gradually improved, forming a prosperous modern international community. Because of this unique historical background, Gulangyu boasts so many different architecture styles, from traditional southern Fujian architecture, residents of returned overseas Chinese, consulates of different countries, to colonial veranda-style buildings. Under the influence of Western culture, Gulangyu gradually developed a rich musical culture. Walking on the island, you can really feel the music atmosphere everywhere, such as this Gulangyu Music School. China's well-known music university, Chinese Conservatory of Music, has also set up its piano school here, and the school buildings are also major protected historic buildings. Shanghai Conservatory of Music also has its music research center here. The density of pianos in this island boasts the highest in China. That is why it is called the Piano Island. If you are into musical instruments, you just can't miss the famous Gulangyu Piano Museum. The collection is so rich and precious. There are over 100 clavichords on display, including a very rare gilded piano, the earliest square piano in the world, the biggest piano in the world, and pianolas from 100 years ago. And then there is also a Gulangyu organ museum on the island. Each organ in the organ museum has a different style and purpose. In addition to the pipe organ, there are also portable organs, automatic organs, antique and time-honored organs with mirrors and candlesticks. A walk in the Gulangyu Gallery of Foreign Artifacts from the Palace Museum collection shows you many interesting objects from around the world. Now, if you are interested in something unique from the East, you can visit Gulangyu International Calligraphic Carving Museum. Here you can find modern calligraphic carving art, mostly from China, Japan, and Korea. Seeking from the balance between nature and purity, all the works are expressing more than calligraphy or carving. However, if you are not interested in indoor activities, there are also many outdoor attractions on the island, such as the Site of Time gun emplacement on Yanwei Hill or Shuzhuang Garden. Shuzhuang Garden is one of the best places of interest. It is different from the graceful style of Xiamen gardens, as it introduces a corner of the sea into the garden, adding a graceful blend of hills and seas. The garden has both the exquisite and elegant style of traditional gardens and the grandeur of sea. It used to be the private villa of Ling Erjia. On his 44th birthday, he built the bridge of 44 spans, a zigzagging stone bridge along the coast with 44 spans stretching over 100 meters. Do not forget to get on the highest spot to have an overview of the beautiful island. You will get a different view. Now behind me is the highest point of this island and as well as a very famous tourist point. So let's have a closer look. Even though after walking a whole day on the island, you can get tired, but you will soon forget the tiredness, since what you see on the way are just like pictures. Far away from the sea, you see deep blue waves and light mist. Close to you, there are graceful trees and round rocks of different sizes. Kisses of waves make them smooth and cool. The spectacular buildings are down there. Some hide in the woods, while others are just properly in sight. Now, another advice I would give is that if you book a hotel in Gulangyu, definitely choose a hotel that is in the center of the island, because that saves you a lot of time going to the different corners of the island, because the tourist attractions are spread over the whole island. Once you're tired after a whole day walking, you can spend your time on the beach, enjoying the breeze and feeling the soft sand right under your feet, or lying in a deck chair to take a nap. As the evening falls and the buildings are lit by colorful lights, they will bring you to another dreamland. Now, one thing that I would strongly recommend is to stay overnight on the Gulangyu Island, because over the night, many people go back to the main island of Xiamen, and the Gulangyu Island is much more enjoyable when there's way less people, and also the nightlife on the Gulangyu Island is also a fascinating experience. Now, this is the nightlife in Gulangyu. Here is the center of the food street. As you can see here, many people are queuing for food just to have a try of the most famous dishes here. I'm gonna try out the family Shen Changfen, and of course, because it is from my own family. Longtou Road is the most prosperous and bustling commercial street in Gulangyu. There are many great snacks here, such as changfen, oyster omelets, and satay noodles. Here you can have a great dinner for less than $10. The food here is so diverse that you can have completely different dishes every single day for a whole month. Within Gulangyu, there are so many restaurants and food stands. And of course, most food are great, but there are still tourist traps. So how do you select your food amongst so many different restaurants? First of all, if you can do the research on the internet, of course that is the best solution. Second, if you're not willing to spend too much time searching for food, then you can ask your hotel, and normally they will give you a list of the local restaurants that are the best. And thirdly, if you could not communicate with your hotel owner or you don't have such a list, then the best way is to look for queues. As long as you find people queuing there, especially a lot of Chinese queuing there, then that's definitely a place to go. Leaving Gulangyu, you may still feel that there are quite a lot you did not see and did not try. It is such a romantic island. It belongs to the tropics. It belongs to the green land. Stepping on the sand, you see all kinds of colorful fish in the sea. Birds fly and sing from branches to branches, like the rise and fall of piano keys. Cliffs standing there, love to gaze, decorating themselves with long vines like hair. Grasslands there are all good at waiting, covering themselves with wild but gorgeous flowers.